Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pigs on the Run from PigWorks and the Cincinnati Flying Pig Marathon powered by P&G. I'm Betsy Ross, and today we are talking with two-time and our defending Flying Pig Marathon champion, Jack Randall. Jack, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, well, thank you. As I say, you are the two-time champion, one in 2017 and then again in 2019. And of course, now that we've switched to virtual, you will be the defending champion when we come back in 2021. So what did the first time around, let's talk about that first. What did the first time around winning the Flying Pig, what did that mean to you in your running?
Sure. The first time around, I had just finished college at University of Cincinnati, finished my career on the running club with them, and was really looking for what my next step was in terms of my running career and where I could see myself going within the sport itself. So I think that the first win for me was just really affirmation that this is going to be a lifelong thing for me. It was I was done competing on a team. It was I'd been doing marathons for a few years at that point, but there was always a team in the background that I would race with, in the cross country season or in the track season. It was really my first time being all out on my own as a runner and just figuring out, what I wanted to do, what I wanted to focus on. And I think it really gave me the wherewithal to know that the marathon is what I wanted to put my time into.
So let us fast forward to 2019. You win again, and in a time that is 5 minutes, almost 5 minutes faster than your winning time just a couple of years before. What made the difference?
Honestly, I think it's the same thing that's made the difference throughout my entire running career, and it's just consistency in training and just the love for the sport overall. It doesn't take a super talented person from a running aspect to be a talented runner. I think it just takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of determination. And it's the act of going out and getting your run in every day, day after day for years on end to make it all work. And between 2017 and 2019, there were 2 more years in the books where I had been training hard throughout the year. And I think ultimately that's what made the difference.
You mentioned that you were club runner at UC. Tell us a little bit about your running history. When did you really start running for fun or competitively?
Sure. I started running as a sophomore in high school after some pressure from my mother, who was a marathon runner herself. And ultimately, after that first year, just fell in love with the sport. I joined to really get closer to a group of friends that was already running. I didn't have much interest in the sport of running itself, but after the first year, it just clicked, and I fell in love with it and was running ever since. And then when I went to UC after graduating high school, the running club was, I think, a great place for me to grow as a runner. It's a little different than being on an NCAA team in that it's all about what you decide you want to put into it. So you've got people on the club that are just there for fun or to stay in shape, and then you've got people on the club that really want to be competitors and push themselves to the next level and figure out what training works for them and how they're going to progress within the sport. And then after college, up until today, I've really just been focusing on the marathon itself. My friend Kyle and I started a running group for post grads in Cincinnati called Cincinnatus, and we meet a couple times a week. It gives us sort of a team as our home base, gives us other people to train with and to work off of, bounce ideas off of, and ultimately we're there to push each other, especially in difficult times like this.
Do you find that you really need that support of a group, of a training group? Because some people love having a training group. Some people like to go on their own. Do you like having that training group around you?
Yeah, I do. I think ultimately both types of training are important. I think training with a group is far and away more fun than training by yourself. There's the camaraderie aspect. There's a friendly competitive aspect, between you and your team members. So that's the fun side of things. But, at the end of the day, when it comes to the marathon, you're sort of in your own head. So I think there's an aspect of training that needs to be done solo. And while it's not as fun, I think there's a purpose for it. And because of that, I enjoy both aspects of the training. I think it helps to bolster your mental strength.
So last we saw you were winning the Bachfest 5K this year. Little did we know that would be the last organized running event that we would see here for a while. How has all this changed your running strategy or your running habits? You mentioned about the running group that you're with.
Yep.
Without having a real non-virtual event to kind of peak for, how has that changed how you run?
Yeah. So after Bachfest, none of this had really started yet. So I was still building towards the pig. And I was building towards the pig until the announcement that it had been initially postponed until October. And, when that announcement came out, I was actually fairly excited. I like fall marathons because I get to train through the heat in the summer, and then it feels much cooler when race day actually comes. But I sort of just dropped my mileage back a little bit. When the week the announcement came out, I was doing a little over 100 miles a week, and just really trying to build my fitness towards the pig in May. And when that announcement came out, I sort of dropped back to what I consider my base building phase, which is 70 to 80 miles a week typically. Just through trial and error throughout the years. That's the toll that I feel my body can take repeatedly, and still maintain fitness and not get injured. So I sort of dropped back and was planning on waiting until midsummer to start my build up again. With everything canceling now, all the races, there probably won't be a chance to race in the fall. I'm thinking I'm probably just going to stick to, my base mileage between 70 and 80. And ultimately, all of this is for fun. So the real thing that you're trying to keep in the front of mind is, it's just for fun. So if there's a day that you don't feel like you're training so hard, then don't, because, there's not a race coming up. But I think it's important to hold yourself accountable, especially if you want to maintain fitness through this period, to make sure you get out the door every day, because this will last a while, but it's not going to last forever. We will be racing again. And when the time comes, hopefully everybody's still in shape.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads me to my next question. So many people have talked about, since so many of these races have switched to virtual, you can see their comments that it's hard for them to be motivated. It's hard for them to get up and still get those miles in. What kind of advice do you have for people who really need that extra motivation to keep going, even though, as you said, there's not an event that you're peaking for?
Yeah. I think that's something that's really difficult. Ultimately, I think that the most important thing is to look long-term. Even when there is an event that you're training for, there are, at the beginning of a training cycle or in the middle of the training cycle, when you have weeks until competition day, on any given day, you can feel, like you don't want to get out the door and do your run. Ultimately, I think the most important thing is to push through that, that feeling of not wanting to train and just do it. I find that even on my worst days, when I'm tired for whatever reason and I really don't want to go out the door and train, I'm 100 times happier when I walk up to my front door after the run than I was when I left for the run. So it's not always, about gratification in the moment. It's long-term.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that the first time that you won, we identified you as from Dayton, Ohio.
Yep.
And the second time you won, you're back in Cincinnati. So tell us a little bit about what you do, and especially what you've been doing since March, since everybody has been shut down.
Sure. So I am initially from Dayton, Ohio, but at this point I would consider myself from Cincinnati, at least for the time being. I've been here for, since the start of college, which has been 8 years now. And, really found a community here that I enjoy being around, and my wife enjoys being around. And it's just it's a great place to live. We really enjoy Cincinnati. Right before, I guess, what I've been doing since the shutdown happened, I got married in January, and then got back from the honeymoon, and then everything shut down. So, just been trying to, day by day. I'm an engineer, and my wife's in marketing, and we actually both work for the same company. So, we're both still working from home. Happy to be employed, and just taking it one day at a time.
That's about all that any of us can do right now.
Yeah,
well, Jack, thank you so much for your time. Happy running. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
And,
you too.
We look forward to seeing you to defend again when we all get back together in 2021. Jack Randall, our defending champion from the Cincinnati Flying Pig Marathon. Take care. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.